Welcome to The Big Picture. I'm Phil Arno. While I was growing up in Western New York, one of the things that struck me the most was the sense of empathy and compassion that the area showed whenever something went wrong, whenever people needed help. The community seemed to come together, almost like no other place in America. That left a very lasting impression on me. Western New York, Buffalo, special place, very special. We're very lucky in this area to have that sense of community. We're not just buildings and cement, roads and infrastructure. We're people, and people who rise to the occasion and have a spirit like no other place. I've lived in other places, and I can tell you for sure, we're lucky to be here with that sense of community. In many ways, WBBZ is an example of how I wanted to pay back the area to give you services and maybe a little entertainment to make your day a little bit better. We wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that intention. And I hope that that does help in some way for the local community, giving back and not asking anything in return other than you appreciate us. Anyway, one of the main events that happens every year in Western New York and is kind of an indication of the spirit that I just spoke of is the Variety Club Telethon, the Children's Telethon. Over the years, they've raised millions and millions of dollars for those of us who are less lucky and need the help the most, the children who have special needs. With me today is the chairman of the 62nd Variety Club Telethon, and there's quite a history there. And the chairman is Bill Simon, who's a local business person who's been in business in the area for many, many years, and now you're the chairman of the telethon this year and the expert on all things Variety Club Telethon. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Well, thank you, Phil. And I want to start off by saying thank you to the station. Thank you for John DeShula, also Channel 2, for enabling us to get out there and let people know what Variety Club is all about, number one. Number two, what the telethon is all about. And number three, most importantly to my heart, is how important this hospital is to Western New York. People don't quite comprehend until they need it. We'll talk about Ollie in a little bit, but he goes to therapy once a week. Does he go to Pittsburgh? Does he go to Cleveland? Does he go to Toronto? No, he can go right here in Buffalo. So we've got a tremendous gem that we have to support, along with many other organizations that we help support. But the hospital itself is really...
Well, in many ways, the quality of the facilities that we have are a reflection on the generosity of the people.
Absolutely.
Who every year give, and we're not talking people who are multimillionaires. We're talking, the average person in Buffalo who gets together a $5, $10, $15, a donation, and that makes a difference. It
Absolutely.
adds up.
We're at the mall, Galleria Mall right now, selling candy bars and a few other items, and people will come by and apologize to me. I only can buy one candy bar, or they'll throw a couple of coins in the donation box and apologize. Don't ever apologize, please. This is how the telethon builds to the crescendo that it has, is by having people like that. Yes, we have some corporate sponsors that do tremendous, and we'll talk about those in a little bit, but it's the ones, the fives, people of that nature that look forward to this telethon every year, realizing that this could be their shot at, feeling good about themselves, if you will, donating. And when they look at the celebrity child and it tugs on their heartstrings and they give a little bit more, that's okay. As I tell people, if you called in on Saturday night and you gave us a few dollars, and then on Sunday you thought about it and you want to give us a few more, that's okay. We're good with that. We'll take that. But that's really the nuts and bolts of the organization, is getting that entry level donation, and it works.
Well, it's a tradition. It's a good cause. And it's the people in Western New York who have that sense of community and empathy. It's a perfect combination. And that's one of the reasons I'm sure that we still do a telethon every year. That's in today's world, that's an oddity.
It sure is. We just were talking earlier today. First of all, we've always, the last couple of years, touted ourselves as the largest, longest running, locally produced telethon. Now we're finding out that there was only 2 of us left in the country. And the second one is getting away from it. So we are it. We're the only locally run telethon of this type. And the only reason we're still here is because of the people out there that we talked about. The people are supporting us, the TV stations that are supporting us, the sponsors are supporting us. That all works, but it only works in Buffalo, New York. Part of our theme this year is the City of Good Neighbors. I have the fortune of having Mayor Byron Brown as my honorary chairman. You typically get an honorary chairman and they might give you a little good speak, if you will, but he has just been fantastic. What can I do for you? His PR people, what can we do for you? They took our poster and put it out to 10,000 employees on their website. They want to make this work, and that's important. The City of Good Neighbors, as you mentioned earlier on, has responded to everybody. We joked before the show about the wide right getting $300,000 for the cats. He didn't get his parade though. The last guy got a welcome back parade. I was at that Super Bowl, and he got a welcome back parade for missing the field goal. But okay, but the people want to do the right thing. They want to do
especially
the right
in
thing.
this area.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the characteristics of Western New York, as I said in my intro, growing up, that impressed me. I mean, it just, and since I've lived in other areas, I lived in Los Angeles for 20 years. There's no sense of community in a place like that. Everybody's from someplace else, first of all. And, when I first went to a Buffalo Bills game in Los Angeles, in Anaheim, I expected to be one of the few Buffalo Bills fans there. Yeah. And I get out of the car and 6 people walk by with Buffalo Bills shirts on, and another 6 people walk by. And I actually worked in Anaheim at the time. The Orange County Register, the newspaper there, had an article the next day after the Bills game. And the title was, who were all those people? Mm-hmm. Because out of the 27 banners that were suspended around the stadium, 23 of them were for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
That's the kind of spirit, even if you're not living here, that spirit of Buffalo and Western New York is in you. It's not a location, it's a feeling. And that's where Buffalo becomes one of the most special places in all of the country.
And it comes back on our donation board every year. We get donations from our snowbirds that go to Florida. They know when the telethon is. We moved it a week this year. We tricked them a little bit, but they'll find it. They'll find it, and they'll contribute. People realize the strength of Buffalo. They realize the diversity of what we have here, and they want to give. They want to give, which is good.
Well, it's one of those things where I think the people in this area have grown up with the feeling that when you do something for someone else, you feel much better about yourself, and you're much happier than if you get something from someone else. It's the giving that really counts. That you grow up and you give a gift to a family member for Christmas, and the smile just comes when they light up, and you've done something that's going to make somebody happy, and that's a common thing in Western New York. I think that's the base of all that we're talking about, that spirit.
Yeah, ironically, my wife and I did the mall 2 days before Christmas, and I figured, well, the mall isn't the mall anymore. Let's face it, people shop elsewhere. But we were at the mall, And my donation box had to be emptied numerous times because people were walking by, and I think in their mind they were thinking, it's Christmas. I'm going to feel good about myself. I'm going to throw into that donation box. And it just amazed my wife because she's not as involved in the day-to-day as this. And she's like, wow, people are really taking to this. And that's great. And that's great. We do things year round, but this is our Super Bowl, if you will. And this is where our growth is with the awareness. Who is Variety? I know when I started, I moved to Buffalo 50 years ago, and I heard about Variety, and I was a young college kid, and what is that? But I lived right around the corner from Children's Hospital back when it was on Bryant. And so I got to know the hospital. I got to know Variety. I got a Boy Scout troop. We were volunteering at Variety because I liked what I saw. And here we are, fast forward all these years later, and I'm at Variety. I'm retired now, and I'm spending my time at Variety. And it's so good for the heart. It just really, you can walk away at the end of the day and say, we did something for the kids. I look at last year's Celebrity Child and the year before when they show up, and I see how they've grown up and developed and become adults, if you will. And it makes you bleed a little bit and say, wow, we did this. And I want to mention my young Celebrity Child this year, Oliver. We affectionately call him Ollie. And when you meet him, you'll just be blown away by the fact he is so positive. The kid was born, first of all, before he was ever born, he had a broken leg. The day he was born, he had 6 more broken bones in his body. He spent 6 weeks in the hospital and gathered up another 8 broken bones, not because anyone was abusing him. This is the disease that he has. It's called brittle bone. They have a fancy name for it, and I won't even attempt to go there. But it's called brittle bone disease. He's broken well over 100 bones in his body. He's got steel rods in arm, both the upper and lower arm, upper and lower legs, to the point where his teeth had to be capped because they were all breaking off. Yet you sit down and you ask him a question, and he'll talk for the next 25 minutes. How are we doing today? I'm doing outstanding. How are you? You know, he just, he has the spirit, if you will. I went home and talked to my kids and said, boy, why weren't you that positive when you were that age? You know, he's 7 years old, and he's got about the 20-year-old knowledge, you know, and just so resilient.
Well, the adversity is in all of our lives, and the way we deal with it, it says something about the character that's within. And, that's what we've been talking about, the character in Western New York, and how one, person can help another person. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the other charities besides children's that benefit from this telethon. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to The Big Picture. My guest is Bill Simon, who is the chairman of the 62nd Annual Variety Club Children's Telethon. One of the best things that happens in Western New York all year long. People look forward to it. It's unique now because not many telethons exist these days.
That's correct.
And we talked about the spirit of people in Western New York. One of the things that we have to acknowledge is the people who grew up and live in Western New York who make the small donations that help so much are not the entire story. And some of these people grow up to be in charge of large companies, and that spirit is amplified when these companies get involved because there's a huge amount of money in Buffalo that comes from institutions and companies that make a huge difference in telethons every year.
Absolutely. And we've got some tremendous partners that have been with us for many, many years. And happy to say we have some new partners coming on board this year. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of our big players. And that one is Delta Sonic. Delta Sonic, I think, has done just about everything imaginable to make this telethon work for us and their customers. They come out with a Buffalo Bills glass this year that they advertised for us and have been selling and still have it in their stores. I was just in one of the stores yesterday, and they're still right at the front register where they're accessible for $15. The proceeds going directly to Variety Club. This week, the coupon book is out. Every year they put out a $5 coupon book with car washes and oil changes, some food inside. That proceeds all go here back to Variety. So Delta Sonic is by far very, very flexible. They came to us with the Buffalo Bills glasses, so we're happy to have them. New this year, Fowler's Chocolates. They just finished their sponge candy promotion, which they got us involved in and said for every box of sponge candy, the old Buffalo favorite, we'll give Variety $1. They also, by the way, supply all the candy bars that I'm selling at the Galleria Mall. We buy them from them, but they make sure that we have them at all times. They came out with a unique one this year. It's a sponge candy bar. And had the pleasure going to the factory and seeing it made. Big one, Joe Salin. Salin Meats. Joe donates a car to us every year, which we raffle off. I had the pleasure of driving last year's car. In fact, I almost forgot to bring it back. It was a 1970 Mustang and only had 60,000 miles on it. It was sweet. This year we're getting a 55 Chevy, which 55 is a tremendous year for anything built in 55, such as myself. But the Chevy will do very, very well for us, along with our friends down at Chef's. They do a thing with anybody that buys a parmed meal. They will donate $1 back to us. These are sponsors that we've had for so many years. Anderson's, Greta Anderson passed away last year. We're sorry to have lost her. She was 105 years old and spunky. And so they're running a special this year for $1.05. You can buy a coupon and it'll go right to a Variety. And so those are the base, if you will. And as I said, we're starting to do some new things this year. We're fundraising throughout the year. We do some unique fundraisers. I always laugh when I say we do a demolition derby down in Dunkirk in late September, early October. It's huge. We actually rent the fairgrounds, Stock County Fairgrounds. It's a different group of people, but we make a lot of money for the kids. And they love us. They keep asking every year, you want to do 2? You want to do 2 days? Easy. You know, there's only so much we can do. We do meat raffles. We just did a meat raffle with our friends Shred and Reagan. We had 300 people in the hall. Tremendous fundraiser for us, along with things like that we do at the mall. So we're not just that 2 days of the telethon.
Right. We're
out there all the time looking for opportunities, new opportunities, old opportunities, anything we could do.
Well, you know, Chefs and Andersons, Delta Sonic, Fowler's, you know, Salem, those companies you mentioned, they're all homegrown companies.
Absolutely. They're
all local people who understand, who get the culture in Western New York. They're us. And when you give to the community, you're really giving to yourself in many ways, with the feeling of accomplishment. It's the good feeling that comes with doing something good for someone else, as we talked about earlier. But also, you never know when somebody close to you is going to need help. And I mean, I was born at Children's Hospital. I mean, many of us have a connection to Children's Hospital and some of the other charities that benefit. Mayor Byron Brown, I mean, he was not born here, but he's as much a Buffalonian as anybody. You know, he bends over backwards to make things like this special and a benefit to the community. You know, he's been a good mayor for the community. You know, Buffalo has grown.
He's definitely put us on the map, if you will, and so well respected in throughout the country. People know who Buffalo is now, and the old days of joking about Buffalo have gone away. It's important. You mentioned some of these other charities. You know, we sponsor SABA, we sponsor Police Athletic League, The mayor has a beautiful reading program. I was invited this year to go down to it. It blew me away. I went to the convention center, and they had 1,200 kids there that were part of a reading program, and they were awarding them. And Mayor Brown was walking around shaking hands and kissing babies, if you will, introducing himself to the kids, bringing them up. And the Police Athletic League is a big sponsor of this thing, and we want to be part of that every year. I came back all excited. I couldn't believe that over the summer kids would sit home and read. But again, that comes from leadership. Buffalo is in good hands, if you will. Children's Hospital is in good hands. We think we're a big part of making this whole program work.
Yeah. And when you give, there are so many opportunities to give to different functions, different charities throughout the country. We see things on TV every day, children here and children there and veterans and so on. This is the one thing that Western New Yorkers and Buffalonians can do, that this charity stays in Western New York.
100%.
We're giving to our fellow Western New Yorkers, our neighbors, our friends. The benefit that comes from reaching into your pocket and bringing out that $10 or whatever, that you almost can't describe how special that is, because it is strengthening the community. It's making Buffalo the special place that we've all talked about right now.
Yeah, and what's amazing when you talk to those donors, I'm thanking them for contributing, but they're turning it around and thanking us for doing what we do.
Well, that's another special thing about Buffalo. We're giving to causes that are special, not just in Western New York, but throughout the country. The facilities, as you mentioned earlier, that we have here, they're the equal of any place in the country, or the world for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Just one last thing I wanted to sneak in here, and that is, you mentioned reaching in your pocket. Well, you can also grab your credit card. Mm-hmm. Credit cards are a huge part of the telethon, if you will, and we have a premium that we give away. If you donate between $25 and $150, or $150 to $400, we have things that we give away. Going back to those corporate sponsors, Delta Sonic gives us passes to give away. The Erie County Fair, we give away passes. We're partners with the Night Out Books. So right on up, again, for as little as $25, you get involved in these premiums, all on our website, varietybuffalo.org. You can go there and donate today. You could donate today.
Well, it's a special event. It's coming up March 9th on Saturday, March 9th, and Sunday, March 10th. And I have to give kudos where they belong. Channel 2 takes part in the telethon as well. It will be on WBBZ on that Sunday, March 10th, and on Saturday, March 9th, it'll be on Channel 2. That's another sign of cooperation. You have 2 TV stations, and I gotta say, Channel 7 helps us with a satellite truck as well. You don't see that kind of cooperation anywhere. This is, again, one of the truly unique things about Western New York. It brings a smile to my face because I know how special it is, and it makes me feel good to be able to be a part of it and to contribute our airtime to the event and the cause.
And we're very appreciative of that. We looked at this years ago and said, could anyone run this telethon the way it's run here? Why have all the telethons gone away? Well, they've gone away because they haven't had the Channel 2s and the Channel 5s supporting us. And you mentioned Channel 7. They used to do the telethon years ago, and yet they still want to be part of it. They're not doing the telethon, but that's okay. They didn't go run and hide. They said, what can we do to help support you? They put that satellite truck in the parking lot, and we hope we never have to use it. But if we do, it's there. It's there. So that's
Well, my first job in TV was at Channel 7 when it was still on Main Street. And that goes back a long way, but I can remember the telethon being held there in our studios
yeah.
on Main Street at Channel 7. And the people lined up around the block. This was in March, you know, and there was snow on the ground, and people still lining up to come into the studio and drop money in the bucket.
Oh yeah.
It was, what an experience.
I could still hear Irv singing on the little teapot. I mean, these were, as I said, I fell in love with the telethon 50 years ago. You mentioned Channel 7 on Main Street, just down the street from the donut shop. Yes, I know that well. Freddy's Donuts was right there, and I worked at Dunn Tire at the time as a college student. So I remember I was one of those people that stood out in the cold. Thanks for leaving us out there in the cold, but I walked in just to see what this was all about. What is this telethon all about, and how could I get involved to give back to it?
Well, we're out of time for this show, but it's something that everybody should be thinking about come March 9th and 10th. It's going to be special. It is every year, and that's really, again, what makes Western New York one of the special places in the country to live. Everybody here, everybody in Western New York, to a great extent, is very lucky. You know, we have cars, and we have color TV sets, and we have more than enough to eat, and this is our way of giving back, even if it's just a little bit. That makes us a special place, and I can't say enough about it. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching The Big Picture. I want to thank Bill Simon for being my guest, and I want to thank the Variety Club for all that they do every year, not just during the telethon, but through the entire year. They help, they're part of the community, very special part of the community, and you should strongly consider being part of it as well. Thank you for watching WBBZ. Thanks for watching The Big Picture, and we will see you next time on The Big Picture.